Hello everyone and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. This weekend I've been doing a craft fair and so I haven't really been concentrating on cards and things. But today, for one of the groups that I belong, there's a sketch challenge and I haven't been able to join in very much lately because of the craft fair. But this week I thought I would have a go. So the craft challenge is on Stamp with Joy with Gaynor Boyce, and I'm going to do sort of a simple kind of a card because it is a simple sketch, but it's a very pretty little sketch. And I'm going to use the Flourish filigree. Now, out of this set, I've only really used this Happy Christmas Wishes stamp, and I'm going to use that one again today. So let me show you how we're going to make it. I've got a piece of the basic white. It's actually the thin card because I'm putting a couple of layers on top and that makes it heavy enough to stand up. Usually I use the thick Whisper White, but I had this already cut and so this is the piece I'm going to use. So this is just our basic shape and basic card, 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4 and folded in half. And then just go down it with your bone folder just to make that fold really crisp. And then I've cut a piece of cherry cobbler, which is just 1/4 inch smaller all the way around, just to give you a nice border. So this piece is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm not going to attach it just yet because I've got another layer that goes on the top and I want to attach the two layers together. So I'll just move those two out of the way. Then I've cut a slightly smaller piece. It's not 1/4 inch smaller, it's 3/16 of an inch, just because I cut it wrong in the first place and I just left it. So this is, as I say, not quite the 1/4 inch, it's just 3/16 of an inch smaller all the way around. And then I'm not sure if you can see that, it is very subtle. It's the subtle embossing folder and it's this one, and it looks, let's see if I can find a better way to show you. I don't know if you can see like that, it's got just lines that go across it. And when I first saw it in the catalogue, I couldn't really see what it did. And then I started to see on Facebook groups and things, people had used it, and it comes out, it makes the card or the paper look a little bit like linen. So almost like that slub linen. And I don't use it a lot, but it is nice as a base card, just to lift it a little bit. So this is the piece we're going to work on. Then I looked in my scraps box and I always have lots of little pieces like this, and I had some that were just 1 inch wide, and the sketch has 3 banner pieces like this. So what I did was I cut the one piece, remember it's 1 inch wide, and I cut it at 3 1/4. The second piece is 1 inch wide and I cut it at 2 3/4. And then the cherry cobbler piece is 1 inch wide and I only cut it at 2 1/4. So when you put them together, there's just enough space that the little chevrons don't overlap. And I cut them all with my triple banner punch because it has one of the grooves here that is just 1 inch wide, so that your inch things are, nicely centered in there. If you don't have this, you know how I often cut them. Let me show you on this piece. I cut a little bit down the center and then I cut corner to where the cut ends, corner to where the cut ends, and that gives you a perfect chevron as well. So these ones I am going to attach, and I'm going to put them down just with a piece of fast fuse. You could use Tombow or Snail, any adhesive that you want. You could even use tear and tape. So there's the one. This one I'm going to slightly overlap, just by about 1/4 inch, not too much. Just make sure that it's level with the top of the card. And then the same with this last piece. Just a little bit of adhesive, and I'm going to put it in the middle of the two. There we go. Okay. Then the last part of the sketch, it has thread or sort of ribbon going across here and a sentiment. And as I said earlier, I'm going to use this sentiment, the Happy Christmas Wishes, in cherry cobbler. So let me just find my cherry cobbler. Here it is. And a piece of scrap. This is such a lovely Christmassy red. I've used this on most of my cards so far this year. It's a little bit light. Maybe it needs re-inking because I have used it on so many cards. Let's just do it on the back. There, that's better. I must remember to put some more ink drops in there before I have a class. Okay. And then I'm going to use the matching punch. And I do like punches. They're so much quicker than using the dies on the Big Shot. And especially if you want to make a lot of something, it's much, much quicker. Okay. Now before I attach this, I'm going to put some thread round. And I don't know whether I'm going to use like the black. It has to go around 3 times, so let's just see. 1, 2, 3. Let's see how it looks in black, whether it's a little bit too dark. I just need to know that it sets it off. Oh, it does. It's fine. I did get the linen thread out as well, but I like the black. So I'm just going to put a little bit of fast fuse on the back, at both sides, and a little tiny bit in the middle. And we're going to go around 3 times. Oh, I don't think any fast fuse came out just there. There we go. So once, twice, 3 times. Make sure it's adhered. There we go. And I'll just get my big scissors. My small scissors are in my craft bag that I took yesterday to the craft fair. Okay, I'm just going to move it down a little bit. That's a little bit higher than I want it. Let's just undo it and move it down. I don't want it to be too high because the sentiment itself is quite wide. Let's do that again. I should have looked at the front, shouldn't I, when I was doing it? I had such a nice time at the craft fair yesterday, and a couple of ladies who said that they would like to come and have classes with me, so that's always nice. It was nice to see people coming out and looking at sort of our handmade things and wanting to make them themselves. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little dimensional in the middle. Let's take the paper off as well. Pop it in the middle and put those strings on it. And then I want to spread them out a little bit. So it's, you know, like cat's whiskers kind of an effect. Because that's how it looked in the sketch that Gaynor had posted. Put a little bit more glue on the back. There we go. There we are. Doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, so don't worry about that. And now I'm going to attach it to the cherry cobbler base. And sometimes when I've got sort of a thread on the back. The fast fuse doesn't always catch it, so I like to use tear and tape when it's like that. So I'm just going to roughly measure and pop tear and tape over, and then I know that it will keep those threads in place. Nothing worse than it sort of peeping out and coming undone when you've given the card to somebody. Okay, and put a little bit at the top. Tear and tape's very forgiving as well. You can tear it just where you want, and if like here you've got a bit too much, then when you take the back off, you just fold it back on itself, and it just stays wherever you want it to. Take these bits off. Doesn't want to come off, of course. There we are. You could also put Tombow on this. It just takes a little bit longer to dry, and it doesn't always keep the linen threads and things in place. So, but whatever your preference is fine. Okay, and let's just centre this on here. Just hover over the top of it till I know I've got it in the right place. There we go. Let's pop those scissors back, we don't need those again. Okay. And then here's our sentiment. I'm going to put, this is the one I stamped first. Oh, I've stamped that in the wrong place. No, I'm just going to put a dimensional at either edge. Or in fact, I might do top and bottom on this one, and then it will go over the strings. It won't push them down. Just going to pop that in the middle like that. Then just readjust my little cat's whiskers. There we go. And then we'll just attach this. So hover again. Just see that I'm roughly in the right place before I push it down. Now inside, because the card's white, what you could do is cut a piece of red. In fact, let's do that. Let's get the trimmer. We know it needs to be 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around than our usual cards. So instead of being 5 1/4, we need it to be 5. But let's make it just 1/4 of an inch. I was going to make it 1/2 inch smaller, but let's just do 1/4 of an inch. So it's going to be 5 1/4 by 4, like that. And then we'll put a white piece on top. Let's see what this is. So this will need to be 5. It's a little bit too long, so oops. So 5, and it's going to be 3 3/4. There we go. Pop that down. And just adhere these. I think it always looks nice when you have the inside of a card and it has, you know, another layer of card, and it just sort of brings out the colour a little bit more. Just looks like you've taken a little bit more effort, really. I lost little bits of fluff on my desk at the moment because I was making snowmen during the week, and there's little bits of the polystyrene balls off the snowmen and little tiny bits of fleece fabric that I was wrapping them in. There we go. And if you wanted to put anything else on, you could cut a little piece of one of the matching papers from the front and either put it lengthways. Let's have a look. You could put it lengthways, or you could do a piece across the bottom. You could stamp another sentiment inside. Yesterday when I was at the craft fair, a lot of ladies who were buying asked if the cards had sentiments in. And on my cards, I tend to leave them for craft fairs plain unless I put a little ticket inside the envelope, inside the clear envelope, so that they can see that it's stamped inside. But lots of people just wanted them to be blank so they could add their own message and they could put their own sort of little words in. They didn't want something maybe too trite or really happy jolly, and they just wanted to put their own pieces in. So no, I tend to leave most of them blank if they're for the craft fair, and if they're for home and for family, then I'll stamp something else in, or I'll just write a very nice message. So there we are. Gaynor, I hope that works for our sketch this week, and thank you very much for posting the picture of the sketch. And for everybody else, if you like my videos, please don't forget to subscribe, and then you get to see what I make every week. I usually make 2 a week, one on a Sunday and one on a Wednesday. If you'd like to place an order, this is the November hostess code. Use this unless you're spending over $200, in which case you get stamping rewards. So if you'd like to place an order, use this code, or send me a message if you're not quite sure how to place an order. But thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye everyone.